hell of a crack nut. But Marlowe was not typical, if his propensity to spin yarns be expected. And to him, the meaning of an episode was not inside like a kernel, but outside, enveloping the tale which brought about only as a glow which brings out a haze, etc. And a lot of the like ambiguity and symbolism which kind of like blurs the meaning of the book is inside of Marlowe's tale, very specific details and like the adjectives he used to describe the natives. But to me, that's like the nut of the story. And the narrative breaks when it's like not Marlowe telling a story, when it's like away from the story is like surrounding. And even here in the quote it says that's where Marlowe's meaning lies. And the meaning in those parts of the book are clearly anti-imperialist. Like it describes Marlowe as hollow after having gone through like the racist transformation he went through. And there's not like many of them, but when you look at them, like they're not ambiguous at all, in my opinion. So that's the only reason I can't really be swayed by like Achebe's arguments, etc.
Yeah, right. So good. So Marlowe is a liar and a hypocrite and is a racist, but he is illuminated by the narrative strategy as just that. He's not held up as the cultural icon. To use Armstrong's. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, Spencer Duchamp McCory.
What I've been struggling with for a while is if he really is a changed man and he's recalling all this from the past, then why doesn't he criticize himself for his racist views? Or he continues, even through his transformation with the helmsman, he continues to talk in the horrific descriptions of the Congolese. He doesn't criticize himself. He just continues on with that throughout the entire story. So I even question if he's a changed man at the end.
Well,
Go ahead.
I just think like back to what we were saying that day that we got really carried away. Like you can nitpick anything. If you like take yourself out of all the arguments and you just look at the book simply, like Marlowe wouldn't go to the intended and lie and then talk about how much he hates a lie if he wasn't like regretful almost and like we said, like Conrad is not Marlowe and Marlowe is not Conrad, so Conrad isn't a racist person for writing a story with a racist character, especially if he says that he hates a lie, implying that he wishes he told people how horrible it was in the Congo.
And I also feel like if he is changed, you can't expect him to say, okay, blacks are equal, I'm never going to use the N-word again, I'm never going to call him savage again. It's like, it's written with like a real connotation. This is like real life. You can't expect it to be like a Disney movie where he just changes and like, just like sunny and everything. I think like he changes in the fact that he realizes that there's a sense of humanity in them like us. It's not like, like stark and contrasting, but it's subtle, just like everything else in the book. It's almost unnoticeable, but it's there. The fact that he realized that they're human, that's the change. Not like he realizes that they're just as good as us, just as smart as us or anything. It's just the fact that they are human.
Fight for them or anything.
And that he's going to tell the story. Yeah. Like he's on a ship with people telling the story.
Yeah, that's a change.
And that's like stopping the lie, stopping imperialism.
Also, like Buck said, in a book that's so like subtle and sneaky, it'd be weird if just at the end Marlowe just goes, "Yeah, but I was like silly back then. Everything I thought back then was wrong." That just wouldn't be like, just doesn't seem like something.
And you'd have to start with that too. You'd have, because of the way the chronology of the book, and that would be like a really awkward beginning. Like, I'm a changed person now, but this is what I thought then, and like go into those,
That's interesting. That's how Invisible Man's going to start. So I think we have to contend with this structure. Why start the book that way? Let's let Corey get in here. I'm waiting patiently.
Well, I was just going to say I agree with Andy. I think, because I've seen the book as racist the whole time, but I do see the other side where Marlowe isn't supposed to be this hero. We're not supposed to read the book and be like, wow, we need to think exactly like Marlowe thinks. And maybe through the little revelations, like when he sees himself and how we see this almost mirror in the helmsman, he sees the distant kinship, maybe we're supposed to then question everything Marlowe's doing, everything that imperialism is about, and it's for the reader to make that connection. And yes, Marlowe does somehow change in the end, but maybe all the ambiguity is just to expose this absurdity that is imperialism to the reader, so it doesn't really matter if Marlowe makes a full change or not.
Okay, excellent. You guys are convincing Corey. I'm losing my one voice on the other side. So Achebe, guys, think of Achebe as our argument about the searchers, right? Where we said, okay, John Ford, 1956, you set out to make this anti-racist film, but then we were able to see how it does reinforce some stereotypes of, right, the Latina was the most obvious example, but also a lot of the Native American stereotypes as well. Even though Ethan and Scar end up being the same, aren't they still both trapped? Like Achebe says, everybody's in their place at the end of that movie. So despite the intention to problematize white Indian relations in that movie, or the sort of the typical relations there, it just ends up perpetuating it. And so that's Achebe's argument. Even though Conrad, it does have this amazingly tricky, beautiful, I think really impressive, I agree, strategy, maybe he fails. And that's the beauty of what Achebe does in 1974, is he says to everybody who believes like a religion in the authority of the canon, of all these books, and this is what we just have to be willing to do. And you don't always have to buy it, that, okay, the canon's always wrong now, but you have to be willing to be able to question or say, Conrad might have failed. Right? I think that's what we have to give Achebe credit for, yeah.